The Hellger missed its mark. They didn't just remove the paste, they severed Tomie's entire head. Silent fall, broken only by a sound of dripping blood, and a voice rise from the floor. Watch as her headless corpse dragged itself up the wall, a puppet made of meat and madness. A malformed head sprouted from the stumps, laughing at the absurdity of its own existence. You want this to be a dream, but the blood on your hand is real. Chapter 5. Kiss. The morning sun is supposed to bring peace, but today it's only bring evidence. Tsukiko wakes up with a desperate hope that the previous night was just a pure dream, a fragile hallucination born of pure trauma. After all, monster and decapitation doesn't happen in the real world, do they? But the truth is carved into the weird architecture of her room. The dark red bloodstain on the floor and on the wall confirmed the nightmare. Tachi and Kamata actually did it. They butchered Tomie right here, in the sanctuary of her home. Realizing she's the witness of the crime, they defied the law of the nature. Tsukiko reached for the phone. She needed a word of sanity her parents before the nightmare swallowed her whole. Elsewhere, Tachi and Kamata are arguing over their grisly work. Tsukiko is a witness and they know it. They discuss how Tomie ordered them to finish her off, hoping their tight knots held her through the night. But their main concern is the head. Should they burn it or take it home? Even Tomie's severed head seems undecided on what she wants. Their bickering is interrupted by a shadow. Someone has been tearing them. A broken, desperate figure. It's Yamazaki. He gathered what's left of his courage to confront the murderers. Kimata stopped, eyes cold. Who the hell are you? He sneered. Yamazaki didn't fight. He didn't even stand tall. He began to beg. Please just let me see Tomie. If I don't see Tomie soon, I'm gonna go insane. He has no idea that her he is looking for is a dividing price, and the men standing before him are the one who took her apart. Tsukiko forced to leave her house because the phone lines were cut, a cruel goodbye phrase from the killers. Crossing the bridge toward a distant phone booth, a sickening sound stopped her. Looking down, she witnessed a one-sided slaughter. Tachi and Kimata are using Yamazaki like a human punching bag. Every kick and punch is fueled by their own jealousy, and Tomie liquoring poison. I don't remember telling you to kill Tsukiko. One grows between strikes. Yamazaki can barely breathe, yet he still whimpers her name like a prayer. Please, let me see Tomie. The name only makes them angrier. They leave him broken in the dirt with a final chilling warning. Show your face again and you won't live to regret. Meanwhile, Tsukiko watched from the shadow of the branch, her breath catching as she witnessed the brutality below. As soon as the killer departed for her condo, she moved. She doesn't run away, she ran towards the broken man, rushing to the walkway. She dragged the betrayed Yamazaki to the side, hiding him from the view. Yamazaki is dazed, his eyes searching her in total confusion. He can't understand why the woman he tried to murder the other day is now acting as his guardian. But there is no time for apology or anything else, just survival. The piece of shadow is shattered. Tachi and Kimata watch echo through the concrete corridor, sharp with a predator fury. They have discovered Tsukiko's empty bond. In a frantic survival instinct, Yamazaki pulls Tsukiko into a tight huddle. They cling to each other paralyzed, as the shadow of the execution looms over the railing just feet above. The men stare down at the empty spot where they left Yamazaki, but there is no one. Their frustration turns cold through the thin barrier of their hiding spot. Tsukiko and Yamazaki hear their final chilling verdict. Let's just get rid of both of them. The first step eventually failed, leaving a horror-terrifying silence behind. Yamazaki begged for the police, his voice trembling with a rising fever. But Tsukiko knows the truth. The authority can help them against a madness they don't understand. She chose the only sanctuary left her apartment. They move like a shadow through the city that has become a giant trap. She has a medical kit there, one last chance to fetch up his wound before the fever takes him. They arrive, but the door swings open before she even touches the handle. A cold realization hits Tsukiko. She forgot to lock it. She stepped inside and her heart dropped into her stomach. The sanctuary is gone. Her house has been transformed into a graveyard of broken furniture and trash memories. This isn't just a mess. It's a violent sign left behind by the men who were here just minutes ago. Tsukiko carefully takes Yamazaki to the other room. While she lay him down on the blanket, she informed him that she's going to the kitchen to bring back a water bottle. When she gets there, she's relieved to find the church didn't create a mess in their area. The kitchen is completely intact. Not wasting any more time, she quickly filled ice pillow with water. As she head back to her room where Yamazaki is resting, she takes a look at her own room. As soon as she enters, she is shocked. Her entire room is a complete disaster. Tsukiko looks at her room and sees her work is scattered everywhere. She searched for her camera, but it's gone. She realized the men took it because they believe she took the picture of the murder while they were beheading Tomie. She muttered to herself that impossible, since she was tied to a table leg at that time. As she worried they would eventually come back, the doorbell suddenly rang with a loud ding-dong sound. She can't believe it, there is no way it's them already. She looked through the peephole of the door. When she sees it on her friend Machiko, she finally relaxes. Tsukiko quickly opened the door and asked Machiko what she's doing here. Machiko explained that she just swung by to check on her since it's Sunday. Then noticing the ice patch in Tsukiko's hand, Machiko asked if she had in fever. Tsukiko told her to just come inside first. Once she inside, Tsukiko nervously asked Machiko if she saw someone suspicious on her way over. Machiko is confused and says she didn't see anyone. And then after a while, Tsukiko led her into the room where Yamazaki is resting. Machiko is surprised to see a man there. Tsukiko ignored the question for a moment in order to help Yamazaki. She lifted his head so that she can press the ice pillow underneath. Machiko is curious. Teasingly she asks if they are a thing. Tsukiko quickly denies and tells her to stop making assumptions because nothing like that is happening. Machiko drops the subject but finds out that he looked very sick and asks if she called a doctor. Tsukiko tried to downplay the situation, claiming it's just a little fever. Then Tsukiko thanks Machiko for coming over here. But Machiko realizes she had interrupted something and says she will leave since she clearly came at the wrong time. Meanwhile, Tsukiko was thinking if she should bring Machiko up to speed of everything, but she realized it wouldn't be fair to rob her into this dangerous mess. Machiko noticed Tsukiko is nervous and asks why she looks so gloomy, as it isn't like her. She tells assumes Tsukiko just embarrassed and asks if the two of them have kissed, telling her if not, now is her chance. Hearing this, Tsukiko becomes flustered and tells Machiko to stop saying such things. She insists that she and Yamazaki are involved in that way and informs her not to make jokes like that, especially when he is so sick. Machiko apologized, explaining that she thought she might be depressed after being suspended from the school. Suddenly, Tsukiko's fear returned. She grabbed Machiko's shoulder and insists that she leave immediately. She explained that she can talk right now, but it's for the best. Tsukiko ushered her toward the door, and before shutting it on, she pleaded with Machiko to get as far away from the corner as possible. She then slammed the door shut, leaving her friend confused and alone in the hallway. Inside, Tsukiko leans against the door and whispers a quiet apology to Machiko. Returning to Yamazaki, she checks the ice pillow, but it still hasn't cooled down his fever completely. Yamazaki opened his eyes and asked if she has been sitting by his side the whole time. She gently replied that she has. Then suddenly he became panicked and asked, "What about Tomie? Is she here? I can hear her voices. She calling my name." Tsukiko tried to comfort him, telling him it must have been a dream since they are the only one here. A moment later, Tsukiko glanced at the clock and realized it's getting late. She began closing the curtain, and as she does, she tells Yamazaki he had better eat something. Yamazaki weakly responded he doesn't want anything. He only wants her to stay by his side. Meanwhile, down on the street, Tyler and Yamada are standing in the shadow, staring up at her apartment. Looking at the glowing window, one of them mutters, "Look like she's back." Tsukiko wring out a cold diff cloth and applied it to Yamazaki's forehead. A moment later, Yamazaki pulled upright, his breathing heavy and labeled. In a terrifying shivering voice, he tells Tsukiko Tomie is calling him. Tsukiko is confused, but suddenly he hugs her tightly, trembling with fear. He insists that Tomie is somewhere in the house, and he is sure she must have heard it too. Tsukiko denies hearing anything, telling him he needs to lie down and the voices are just caused by his fever and fear. However, Yamazaki refused to accept that and glared into her eyes. The voices returned, calling his name over and over. Yamazaki, Yamazaki. Drained by the sun, he stood up quickly and rushed towards Tsukiko's room following the voices. Tsukiko shouted to him to stay away, but he ignored her. He entered her trash room where the voices grew even louder. He yelled into the empty air, "It's me, show yourself." Suddenly, a bulk appeared under the carpet in the exact spot where Tomie was killed. They both were speechless as a hand emerged from the floor and gently grabbed Yamazaki's face. Then Tomie's face appeared. Realizing Tsukiko is watching, Tomie decided to make her jealous. She pulled Yamazaki's face close and kissed him right in front of her. Tsukiko is frozen paralyzed between a course of jealousy and a pure tale of protest before her. Meanwhile, Kamata is silently scaling the five beside her window. It doesn't take long before he reaches at the same level as her window glass. Inside the room, Tomie giggled, taunting Tsukiko by claiming that Yamazaki life only belonged to her, insisted they are in love, and Tsukiko is no more than a bystander. She orders Tsukiko to leave the room, declaring it will be their loveness from now on, before pulling Yamazaki in for another kiss. Meanwhile, Tsukiko desperately tried to get Yamazaki to step out of his trance. A moment later, a sharp, crackling sound produced. It's Kamata. He began shattering the window with heavy blows. On the second story, the glass erupted out into a million jagged pieces scattered across the floor. Tsukiko caught a short light through the air, watching in terror as Kamata hooked his portal over the ledge and stepped inside. Stepping down from the window grill, Kamata turned Tsukiko, telling her she lived a long way off. He couldn't know that a smash pot erupted in a scene that looked like suicide. He didn't notice Yamazaki. "Look who else we got here," he sneered. Tsukiko screamed his name, but seeing him hopeless, Kamata decided to punish him first. He raised his iron fist to strike, but in split seconds, Tsukiko forced Yamazaki to wipe her to dodge the attack. After Ekema returned, the room erupted into unbelievable grotesque scenario. Tomie, seeing her mother face filled with aggressive, Kemata confidently erupted into sweating fear. Tomie berated him for barging in and breaking her window. Tell me, what do you do when you wound someone? She asked. Terrified, Kemata gave his pipe and offered to treat her room immediately. Tomie yelled at him to stay back. She called him filthy, vulgar, and repulsive, screaming that his grim will come upon her. Kemata tried to apologize, but she stepped back that she has no more use for him. She commanded Kemata to take his iron pipe and take himself on a long trip. Outside, Kemata is chilling by the bushes, unaware that Kemata's sanity has been erupted out of him. On the other hand, obeying Tomie's command, Kemata jumped up from the balcony. As the sound of Kemata's emphasis echoed from below, the room remained frozen in a state of nightmare. Tsukiko watched in horror, but Yamadaki's reaction is different. His fear has been replaced by chilling single mind focus. He crawled toward the grotesque remains on the floor. "Tomie, it's me," he whispered. His voice burst with a strange confidence that they shouldn't exist in a room filled with blood and broken glasses. Then her face still embedded with shell begged him to hold him and get her out of there. Yamadaki began to help tearing the carpet and the floorboard. The sound of rattling fabric and wood shattered quite the room, but as he left, the situation developed into a second display of body horror. He realized she isn't just lying on the floor, she is a part of it. A thick substance was out from under her, sticking to her like a melting gum. Tomie speaks, calling that she is happy. "From now on, we will live together," she promised. "This room will be our world. We will even raise our children here." Meanwhile, Tsukiko is paralyzed by fear. He realized the truth to me is like a lethal tail. No matter how many times you cut it off, it just comes back. She returned with the same face every time. And now she has Yamadaki completely utterly spellbound. Tsukiko screamed at Yamadaki to snap out of it, but it's no use. He can't see anything beside Tomie. In a sweet tone, he tells her, "You forgot so many shirts all over your face. I will remove them for you." As he starts plucking the glass pieces, the blood spreads out like a fountain. He realized if he continues, she will bleed out right here. Yamadaki decided in any cost he must get her out of the ruckus. So he picked up a large shard of broken glass and began cutting the filmy substance connected Tomie to the floorboard. But as he sliced, the situation shattered into a nightmare. Blood splashed out like rain, soaking him in the floor in a final dark eruption of madness. Outside, a crowd began to surround Kemata's body, and soon after police reached the scene. Inside, the room had become a literally bloodbath. Yamadaki's flesh and Tomie's body had begun melting after being cut. The floor, the wall, and even the carpet are completely immersed in red. Outside, Rastina pointed to the broken window, telling officers the boy fell from that apartment. Suddenly, Yamadaki stumbled to the balcony, screaming to the world that Tomie is dead and he has killed her. Tsukiko desperately tried to convince Yamadaki that it isn't his fault, but he can no longer think straight. The police rushed up to the apartment and began ringing the bell. Neither Tsukiko nor Yamadaki moved to open it. Tsukiko is completely paralyzed in tears and her mind frozen by the gore. After the bell rang multiple times with no answer, the officer had no choice but to erupt through the door, bursting into the apartment. The police are finally met with a horrifying scene. The room is a slaughterhouse. They demand explanation. A dead body outside and a room covered in blood. Tsukiko tremblingly tried to explain the impossible. She tells them her parent was killed in front of her, how she came back to the life, and how she appeared under the carpet. But they didn't believe her. To them, her story is logically madness, technically impossible. Tsukiko pointed to the center of the room, shouting, "What do you make of that then?" She expected the police to see the grotesque remains of the monster, but when the officer looked down, they see nothing more than a plastic sheet. And when Tsukiko realized, she can believe on her eyes. Where there was once a generating girl and a fountain of blood, and now there is only cold, transparent piece of plastic. Tomie has vanished, leaving Tsukiko and Yamadaki to face the consequences of the crime that has no evidence. The scene shifted in all traditional mention, the same one we saw at the beginning of this arc. An elder man sitting with a girl who is weeping inconsolably. He asked why she is so miserable. First she came with a ruined, dirty uniform and now she won't stop crying. He tells her it will break his heart to see her like this. The girl look up and we see her face is Tomie. She isn't the monster here, she's playing the victim. She cries to her father, "Do you know what happened to me? There is a girl at school named Tsukiko. She took a horrible picture of me and called me a monster. She claimed I'm sick." The old man fully believes she's his daughter. The horror is no longer about the blood, it's about how Tomie has rewritten reality. She has integrated herself into a new family. How did she do it and how did she convince this man she is his daughter, and where did the real daughter go? We will find out the truth in the next chapter, so subscribe. Anyway, meanwhile the police investigation is reluctant. Tsukiko explains the impossible. Again, Kemata claims the suicide and the blood on the carpet. The investigator admits some part are the truth, the blood is real and the witness saw Kemata fall. However, the DNA doesn't have any link to Tomie as she claimed, because she walked into the school the very next day to submit a withdrawal note. To the alert, Tomie is alive and well, meaning there is no victim. Without a body or a matcher, they have no choice but to drop the charges against her and Yamazaki. The next day, Tsukiko meets her best friend Machiko at school for the last time. Tsukiko is moved away from the town with her family to escape the shadow of the Tomie. She lit a fire and kept the photo of Kusakawa. In a rare moment of comfort, Machiko tells Tsukiko she believes her. She believes every impossible thing about Tomie and what she went through. They share a final emotional hug, a smile light in the darkness of Tsukiko's trauma. During that at the corner, more are loading a van. The driver points to a roll of carpet, telling them not to leave it behind. Tsukiko doesn't realize, but the very object that brought the horror is coming with them. Meanwhile, she visits Yamadaki in the hospital. He is broken, however, he thanks her for not leaving him alone in their room with whatever it was. Nonetheless, Yamadaki still asks the final burning question, what was under that carpet? Tsukiko's answer is chilling. It was Tomie, and she never died. She used a plastic sheet as secondary skin, a temporary vessel for her return. And what left he kept that night was just a transit illusion, a flattening part of Tomie calculation. As Tsukiko leaves the hospital, the cycle feels unfinished. The monster is out there and the evidence is tucked away in a moving van. Alone in his room, Yamazaki watched the news. The encore make wide assumption about what happened that night, but the truth is right outside his window. Down by the hospital trash, the same carpet has been dumped. Yamazaki feels the spell of Tomie taking hold once more. As he watched, the carpet began to unfold, a familiar bulk appear in the fabric, shifting and growing. Slowly but steadily, finally Tomie began to emerge from the discarded trash. One by one, head and limbs pushed through the carpet. You might think someone would have noticed, but who looked at the dumpster? Yamazaki watched inside paralyzed. He told himself he should have said something, but the time would eventually come. He planned to sneak away from the hospital when he got stronger, but Tomie had returned sooner than he ever imagined. This is it, they finally noticed him. The many forms of Tomie extend their hand, grooming and searching for him in the darkness. Their voice raised in horrific shriek that echoed through the room and said this one thing over and over. Yamazaki, hold me. Yamazaki, hold me.